two sources connected by one line. So today we'll do a little bit more of analysis of this subject, and also if time permits we'll also look at the per unit system, which is again one of the fundamental concepts of the power system analysis. So let's get started. So I hope you are all able to hear me. Okay, so in the last class, towards the end, we had done one calculation. So we'll continue from there. So I had an example where there is a source E1 and there is a transmission line and there is another source E2. And between these two sources, the line is connected and then the power is flowing. So this is, you can assume 1 and angle is 0 degrees. So for all our analysis today, we will fix this at 1 per unit and angle is 0 degrees or 1 volt at 0 degrees. And the impedance of this line is, let's say, J 0.1. This was also the same value we used in the last class. And E2 value, we tried different values for E2. So for the time being, I will take 0.9 and angle as, let's say, 3 degrees. So now, with this configuration, what will be the, so this is my impedance Z. So what will be the current I1 and what will be the power, complex power S1 and complex power S2. So S1 supplied and S2 is received. So why we are calling this as received? Because look at the polarities. So the current is entering into the positive terminal. So this I1 current which is there here, that is entering into the positive terminal of this one. I think I12 was the notation we used last time. So if the current is entering into this, then S2 is considered as a received. Whereas here the positive terminal current is leaving, therefore S1 is a complex power supplied by this one. So what is the formulas here? So S1 is nothing but E1 into I12 conjugate. Similarly here S2 is nothing but E2 into I12 conjugate. But then first of all, what is I12 itself? So just simple Ohm's law, the potential here difference is E1 minus E2 in this direction, and divided by potential divided by impedance will give me the current. So I can find I12 is nothing but E1 minus E2 divided by Z12. So this was the formulas we already did last time. Now for the values shown in the figure, you notice that the angle here is 0 degrees and the angle here is 3 degrees. So higher angle is on the E2 side and the lower angle is on this one. So always active power flows from higher angle to lower angle. So this is the direction of active power flow P. Okay, so what about the reactive power? So when you look at again the direction, so not the direction, the magnitude of voltage. Here high voltage and here low voltage. 0.9 is lower than 1.0. So reactive power always flows from high voltage to low voltage. So this is the direction of reactive power. So reactive power is flowing from 1 to 2 and active power is flowing from 2 to 1. So if you actually find out, see, if you find out S2, So here the P2 will be negative. Why P2 will be negative? Because S2 is receiving, but then it is sending the power, so it will be negative, and plus J Q2. So Q2 will become positive. Similarly, if you look at S1, so here, because it is supplied, but then it is receiving the power, so it will be minus P1 and then plus J Q1 because it is supplying the Q, so it is like this. And since there is no power loss here, so this P2 will be equal to P1, whereas the Q1, Q2 will have a difference. There is some losses here in the line, so that will be the losses. So let me also write down the losses. So again, all these things I already told last class, just we are repeating it. So losses is nothing but I12, Z12, I12 conjugate. So like this you can calculate the losses. Or simply you can do magnitude of I12 square into Z12. So take the magnitude of I12 square. So all these are complex numbers. So we are just doing everything in the complex numbers. So today what I want to do is, I want to just do some more sensitivity analysis on this. What happens if this voltage is variable and what happens if this angle is variable? We'll try to see how the power flow changes with respect to this. So more specifically, what I will do is, let me once again draw the same circuit. So I'll say sensitivity analysis. So what happens when E2 varies? E2 complex number varies. Okay, so let us consider E2 is equal to, so this is magnitude of E2. Let's say we can take 0.8, 0.9, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. So of course you can take different values also. So idea is below 1 I am taking some values, above 1 also I am taking some values. Similarly, this delta 2, that is the angle of E2. So let's take see 0 degrees will be the middle one, and let's take minus 10 degrees, minus 5 degrees, plus 5 degrees, and plus 10 degrees. So basically what I am trying to do is fixing E1 at 1.0 at angle 0 degree. This is fixed. And then I am varying the E2, and then for each combination of E2, how the power flows are changing. Okay, so study how the power flows are changing. So that means S1, S2, how they are changing. So S1 is, remember, the power supplied by first source, and S2 is the power received by the second source. So this is what I mean by sensitivity analysis. So in order to do this, instead of repeating the problem, see for example E2 there are 5 values. So 5 times we have to repeat this. So instead of doing that, let's do it with a program. I will begin by our previous class program, whatever we had, and then I'll try to do that. Okay. So let's switch to the interface of MATLAB on Tuesday, okay, just 2 days back. So in that case, so what are the values taken? E1, it is considered as, so E1 is 1 per unit, angle is 0 degrees. So whereas E2 was 0.9 with angle of minus 3 degrees. So I hope you are able to understand this part. So these are the 4 formulas which we have written. I12 is nothing but E1 minus E2 by Z, S1, S2, SL. These are all simple formulas which I already wrote. And then we try to get the results. On the right side, you find that there are some results. So you notice that the angle is minus 3 degrees. So when the angle is minus 3 degrees, the P1, P2 are positive. So here you can see on your right, 0.471, 0.471. That means the power flow is from 1 to 2. So whereas if this angle is positive, then P1, P2 will become negative and so on. So that is what we want to study today. So what I do is, I'll just copy this code and then I'll create a new file. So two sources, sensitivity. Okay, so that is the name I have given. So this is that new file. I open the new file. Let me just. So I just copied the same code as before. Now, instead of E1, see E1 is a single number. So I just did that. So you just see what I will do in the case of E2. So in the case of E2, instead of giving one value, I'll give a matrix. Okay. The matrix is 0.8, 0.9, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. So as a result, what happens? So here E2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements, 5 columns and 1 row. E2 is a matrix now. So I will comment out all the rest of the code. So only my program is only up to here, line number 6. So only this part if I run, also angle, let us keep angle as 0 degrees. So now if I run this program, so on the right side, you see E1 is 1 and E2 is 0.8, 0.9, 1, 1.1, 1.2. So 5 different values are there in the E2. So you can try different angles also. Let's say 5 degrees. So then again, if I run, then I get 5 values of E1. These are in complex form. Okay. So right now we will not worry about that complex form and just keep the angle as 0. So the rest of the calculations is exactly same. So I1 is same. So only thing is there is a small syntax correction you have to do. See here what is happening in line number 6, there is a matrix. So matrix when it is multiplied by an element, I have to use dot star. So that means it will take element by element multiplication. So here also I have to use dot and here also I have to use, for the case of E2, one dot, here also one dot. Just replace the multiplication with dot convention, dot star. So if you want to know more about this, just again try to search in Google about dot multiplication or matrix multiplication in MATLAB. So you will know. It's just a simple thing. So now my S1 will have different values. Okay. So if I just simply save and run this, so on the right side, you can see S1 values you are able to see. So because these are multiple values, I want to see. So what is P1? So P1 is nothing but the power supplied from the first source. So active power supplied from the first source. So that is nothing but a real component of S1. So I am separating the real and imaginary components. Q1 is nothing but the imaginary component of S1. So I am using two different functions in line number 15 and 16, P1, Q1. Similarly, I can copy this and I can get P2 and Q2. So for the case of S2. So now if I run it once again, so you see P1 value you are able to see. So P1 all zeros, Q1 some values, P2 all zeros, and Q2 some values. Okay, so let us plot, see to get a better understanding, let us create a plot. So how to create a plot? So figure 1. plot P1. So I will give some color, red color for P1, and then line width of 2. So here I would say hold on because I want to give multiple plots. Similarly, I also want to plot P2. This will be in blue color. So the first one is active power at bus 2. So again, this is very simple. I've just creating the legend. So now let us save this and run this code. Just a minute. So some multiple plots are coming. Let me just correct it. I'll use figure 2. Yes, now we are getting correctly. So Q2, this one, and this is P2. Okay, so finally I got the figure. So you notice on the screen on the right side there is a plot. So there is a one red line that is active power received at bus 2, that is all the time 0. So why the active power received is 0? Because the delta, that is delta 1 is 0, delta 2 is 0. Both sides the angle is same. So that's why active power flow is not happening. So if both the angles are same, active power will always be 0. And now look at the values. So of the voltage. When the voltage is less, reactive power is positive. And when the voltage is more, reactive power is becoming negative. That means what? Uh, as the voltage is increasing, the reactive power flow from the source 2 is increasing. So because this is reactive power received at bus 2 is negative, that means reactive power is supplied. Okay. So this is the plot we are getting finally. Let me go back to our screen and I'll explain one. So in fact, let me continue y-axis like this. So this is actually 0. So the P1 itself is 0. P1 equal to P2 equal to 0. Why? Because delta 1 is 0, delta 2 is 0. There is no difference between the angles, so the power is always 0. So whereas Q2, this is Q2. So Q2 is positive and Q2 is negative, and here I think it is 1.0. E2 magnitude is 1.0. So like this. So I hope you understood the relation. So what is the relation? Magnitude of E1, sorry, magnitude of E2 is proportional to Q2. That means if I increase E2, Q2 will increase. If I decrease E2, Q2 will decrease. Whereas that does not have any effect on the power. Okay. Any doubts so far, whatever I'm able to show? You're able to understand the code? I'll just wait for a 1 or 2 minutes to understand your doubts. Let me display the code once again. That is -5, 0 degrees and 5 degrees and 10 degrees. So all places I'll put I. So the rest of the code, let me comment. Okay, so this is also working. So I don't have to do any change now. Just the same program I'm just rerunning once again. Let's go to figure 4. So now you see it's a completely different figure. So earlier case, the blue line was changing and the red line was horizontal, whereas now the red line is changing and the blue line is horizontal. So what is the angle variation? That is -10 degrees to +10 degrees. So the active power flow is changing. So if I go back to my code once again, that is magnitude of delta 2. So once again, this is y-axis, this is x-axis. So the reactive power is almost like this. So this is Q2. No variation in the reactive power. But the active power is changing like this. So when the angle is negative, this is P2. So and here delta 2 equal to 0. At the time P, Q both are 0. So when the angle is, so delta 2 is -10 degrees and here -5 degrees, 5 degrees and 10 degrees. When the angle is negative of delta 2, power is received, and as the angle is reducing to -0.5, power is less power is received, and then as the angle becomes positive, the power is supplied by the secondary side. That's why P2 is becoming negative. So here what you understand, the P2 is proportional to delta 2. So finally, a conclusion. So we have sources connected with impedance. So this is 1.0, 0 degrees fixed. Then P2, this is E2 magnitude and delta 2 angle. So P2 proportional to delta 2 and Q2 proportional to E2. So how to control the power flow on this line? So if I want to increase the power flow on this line, then I have to decrease delta 2, so more power will flow in this direction. Similarly, how to control the Q on this line? To control the Q, I can control the magnitude of E2, And if I increase E2, then the Q will reduce. If I reduce E2, then the Q will increase. So this is the main understanding of how a power flows on a transmission line. So in a transmission line, always P and Q flow. So active power flows, reactive power flows. Both can be in same direction, both can be in opposite direction to each other. All that depends on the either side voltage magnitudes and voltage angles. So this is the first part that I wanted to convey today. So any doubts on this? Complex power received. Therefore, if S2 is P2, so S2 is nothing but E2, the formula is same. So let's call this I12. The formula is same, but then S2 is P2 plus JQ2. Now you take the same example, minus 1.0 plus J 0.5. Now in this case, negative means supplied. So active power supplied is equal to 1.0. Reactive power received equal to 0.5. So that is the case. Now if I combine both, so this is E2 plus side, this is E2 E1 plus side, and this is I12. So let me just complete this. So P1 equal to P2 equal to minus 0.5. So what is the meaning? So E1 receives 0.5, E2 supplies 0.5. In other case, if P1 equal to P2 equal to plus 0.3, so what is the meaning? So E1 supplies 0.3 and E2 supplies E2 receives 0.3. So it all depends on your direction of current and the sign of that you are following. So I hope this clarifies your doubt. Is that okay? So connection, sign, meaning. So if the connection is current is leaving the positive terminal, then positive sign means supply, negative sign means receive. On the other hand, if the connection is like this, the current is entering the positive terminal, then positive sign means receive, negative sign means supply. So I hope this clarifies your doubt. Is that okay? So also find the current in the load. So can anyone suggest how to solve this problem? I am not asking for final solution. I am asking for the method to solve this. So kindly use your mic to speak your answer instead of using the chat window. If you use mic, everybody will be able to listen to you.
Yeah.
So I got the same reply from Danekula College and Aditya Engineering College. Both of them are saying transform secondary side impedance to the primary side. So same way Aditya Engineering College also saying transform secondary impedance to the primary. So that is exactly the same answer that both of you are given. So that is what you have to do it. So can you now tell how to do that? So if you transform, what will happen? How much is the value? Okay. So can anyone college, if I transform that, how much it will become? So some of you have already calculated the answer also. Coastal Institute of Technology and Management. What is that? 36.42. So we have to check this. So one answer somebody has submitted. So how do we do it? Okay. So even before we go forward, remember that power system. So the main issue is because of transformer. So we have to transfer impedances from one side to other side. So in power system, there may be hundreds of transformers. So every time you want to solve the current, you want to find out how much power is flowing, how much is the current. Every time you want to do that, it will become highly calculation. So transferring impedances will become very computational intensive. So per unit is used. let's solve without per unit. So without per unit system, if I solve, uh, somebody has given the solution also. So I hope you are following what I am saying here. So let's do the solution. So 100 0 degrees, and this is 1 plus J2. Is that what I have written? And I have transformer. Fifty plus J30. Okay, so now this one you transform. This is 1:10. You transform to this side. You get 1 plus J2, and then this one will be zero point 0.5 plus J 0.3, and then you get like this. So then what is the current? Okay, so current is nothing but V by Z. This is nothing but 100 0 degrees divided by 1 plus J2 plus 0.5 plus J3, J 0.3. So that is nothing but 100 0 degrees divided by 1.5 plus J 2.3. So for this we need to use the calculator. So 100 divided by, so I got 19.9 minus J 30.5. So this is the current. So if I convert this into polar form, so I'll get 36.4 angle of minus 56.9 degrees. Okay, so this is the current, but this current is where? This is not the actual load current, because this is not the actual load. So what is the actual load? Load is 50 plus J30. So then what is the load current? So some of the answers that you are giving 36.45, 56.9. So all these currents that you are giving, so this is not the actual load current. So your answers, they're not correct. So the load current, again you have to transfer it to the secondary side. So because the voltage is stepping up, current will step down. So load current will be 36.4 minus 56.9 degrees divided by 10. So that will be 3.64 angle of minus 56.9. So this is the correct load current. So this is the mistake that some of the colleges have made. So of course the complex power is same. So what is the complex power? What is S1? S1 is nothing but E1 into I1 star. So there is nothing but 100 angle 0 degrees into 36.4 angle. So here instead of minus, I'll put plus because of conjugate, 56.9 degrees. So that is 3640 angle of 56.9 degrees. So this one I have to separate it into real and imaginary. So how do you do that? So this is 1988 plus J 3049. So this is watts and this is wars. So supplied because it is positive. Okay. So again, some of the answers I got 2002 and J 339. That is also wrong. The answer which I got there. So anyway, so you understood this. So this is a method without using the per unit system. But using per unit system, you can eliminate the transformer and convert all the values into common per unit. So this time now I will solve with per unit. So note the answers. So that is, this is the answer. And this is the answer, current in the load. Now we will solve using per unit system. So first of all, what is per unit system? So it is a system to one base quantity. So when I say electrical quantities, you have four electrical quantities. That is, you have voltage, current, impedance, and complex power. So what you do is, you say what is the unit? So here the unit is volts, here unit is amperes, here unit is ohms, and here unit is volt amperes, right? So choose base values. So here, out of four, you choose any two base values. So, so let us like out of these four, voltage, current, impedance, and complex power, you can choose anything, any two values. So, for example, I am choosing the complex power base value as, let's say, 1000 volt amperes. And the voltage, let's say I'm taking as 500 volts. So the moment you choose these two values, the other two values will get defined. Okay? So choose any two, the other two can be derived. So for example, so V base is 500 volts, S base is 1000 volt ampere. Therefore, current base, I base is nothing but S base by V base. It's nothing but 100 volt amperes divided by 500 volts. That is nothing but 2 amperes. So 2 amperes is your base current. Similarly, what is Z base? Z base is nothing but V base by I base. This is simple Ohm's law again. So V base is 500 volts divided by 2 amperes. So you get 250 ohms. This is your base impedance. Now, given the base value, you can convert to per unit value just by dividing it. Okay, so these two I will write it down. So this is 2 amperes and this is 250 ohms. So this selection of these base values is completely what is known as the per unit system. So I selected 4 base values. Now any electrical quantity I can divide by this and it becomes a unitless quantity. So for example, express following in per unit system. So let's say VA equal to 750 volts, VB equal to 2000 volts, VC equal to, let's say, 100 volts. So how do you express this? So simply divide each of them by the voltage base. Okay, so VA divided by V base. So 750 divided by 500. So this will be, I think, 1.5 per unit. So similarly, in this case, 2000 divided by 500, this will be 4 per unit. And in this case, 100 divided by 500, it is 0.2 per unit. So you see the voltage and voltage will get cancelled. So this is volts and this is volts. Volts will get cancelled. Similarly here also all these are unitless quantities. So that's why it is called per unit. So the 4 per unit means it is 4 times the base value. 0.2 per unit means it is 20% of the base value. And 1.5 means it is 1.5 times the base value. So like that I am eliminating the units of the voltage. The same thing you can apply for current also. So let's say I1, I2, I3. So again, I'm taking 3 examples. So let's say current is 10 amperes. Let's say current is 16 amperes. And let's say current is 0.2 amperes. So now 10 amperes. So what you do? Simply divide by the base current. Remember, according to our per unit system, what is the base current? 2 amperes is the base current. So simply 10 amperes divided by 2 amperes. So I'll get 5 per unit. This one 16 amperes divided by 2 amperes. I'll get 8 per unit. This one 0.2 amperes divided by 2 amperes. I'll get 0.1 per unit. Okay, so this is how you convert any quantity. Same, you can convert the impedance also. So now you get a doubt, what about the complex current? Okay, so before I go to impedance, let's take an example. So voltage is 100 volts at an angle of 30 degrees. Similarly, current is 50 amperes at an angle of 45 degrees. So now how to convert to per unit? So all the time this per unit base quantity is always just scalars. They are not having any angle or anything. So simply you divide 130 degrees by your base voltage 500 volts. So then you will get 0.2 at an angle of 30 degrees. So the angle will remain same. Angle will not be affected. Only the magnitude will be affected and that will become per unit. Similarly, in this case, 50 amperes at 45 degrees. Now the base current was 2 amperes. So simply the amperes will cancel. 2 will become 25 times. So then I get 25 per unit at an angle of 45 degrees. So converting to per unit system will not affect the angles. Angles will remain same. Only the quantity magnitude will be changing. Okay, so let's continue. Let's say impedance 3 plus J5. Sorry, 3 plus J5 quite less value. So let's say 300 plus J 500. Or this is ZA. ZB, let's say 100 minus J50. Similarly, ZC is now I'll instead of giving it in the resistance and reactance form, I'll give 200 at an angle of 45 degrees ohms. So how do you convert these quantities into per unit? So this one simply divide by the base impedance. So what is our base impedance? Again, if I go to my per unit system, the base impedance is 250 ohms. So simply divide by 250. So 300 plus J 500 divided by 250. So this is nothing but 300 by 250 plus J 500 by 250. So here this is I think 6 by 5 or this is 6 by 5 is 1.2 plus J2 per unit, not ohms. So like this 1.2 plus J2 per unit. So similarly, if I divide by 250, 100 by 250. So that is, I think you have to just do the calculation. 100 by 250 minus J 50 by 250. So this is 1 by 5. So this is zero point 0.2. So this will be 2 by 5. This will be zero point 0.4. So 0.4 minus J 0.2. And finally here it is again straightforward. Simply divide the magnitude by 250. So this will be 4 by 5, so 0.8, 45 degrees per unit, okay, like this. And finally you get the idea, complex power. Let's say SA is 400 plus J 800. So this is in watts and this is in wars. But then if you convert to per unit, so you just divide by your per unit 1000 we had selected. So it becomes 0.4 plus J 0.8 per unit. So like this, you can use the per unit conversion. So far, what I explained is how you can define a per unit quantity. So how to define a per unit quantity? So per unit quantity can be to do is I want to now show how this per unit is used in calculations. So the idea is, so here you have actual quantities. Then you transform them into per unit quantities. So then you do the calculation, then you will get the results in per unit. Then again convert to actual solutions. So this is the actual quantities given data. So the given data you convert to per unit quantities, then do the calculation, then the results also will come in per unit quantities, then again you transform back. So how to convert a actual to per unit? This one just now we have seen. So how to convert actual solution? Okay, so let me draw the question once again. So if I remember correctly, this is E1 equal to 100 angle 0 degrees. Then I had this is 1 plus J2. Then there is ideal transformer. And here I have 50 plus J30. So this is our problem. So the problem is find I1 S1. So this is I1 and this is S1. Sorry, not this I1, find this one, IL. So IL. So what you do is, also given this is 1:10. So what you do is define base quantities. We define base quantities. First define S base. So S base, you can choose any value. Let S base is 1000 volt amperes. Okay. So you can choose any value. You can choose 2000 volt amperes. You can choose 50 volt amperes. You can choose 100 volt amperes. Any value you can choose. So for this problem, I have chosen the base volt amperes as 1000. Now, I said two base quantities you have to select, the other two you will calculate. Okay. So what is other one? Let's say V base. Let's take 100 volts. So again, this I have selected like this. So S base is 1000 volt amperes and voltage base is 100 volt amperes. Automatically now, what is I base? Based on the above two, I base is 10 amperes and Z base is 10 ohms. Okay. So like this you are getting the base quantities. Now the problem is because wherever there is a transformer, the regions have to be defined. So this is the most confusing part for the power system. So this is a transformer. So I define this region. This is region 1. This is another other side of the transformer. I'll define this as region 2. So R1 is region 1 and region 2. Now for both the regions, what about the base system? Okay. So this particular base system, this is region 1. So each region will have their own base system. So that is what is the point here. For region 2, what happens? The S base should remain same. So that is the rule. Throughout the system, the S base should remain same. Now what is the V base? So because there is a transformer here, 1 is to 100, sorry, 1 is to 10, the V base of the first region and the V base of the second region should also maintain the same ratio. So if I maintain the same ratio, so here V base was 100 volts. So therefore here V base will be 1000 volts because the ratio is 1 is to 10. So V base will be 1000 volts. Therefore I base will be 1 ampere and Z base will be 1000 ohms because V by I 1000 ohms. Now the base systems are, so this is base for region. So using these base quantities, if I convert, so 100 will become 1 and 1 plus J2 I have to divide by 10. So 0.1 plus J 0.2. So let me convert the above circuit into per unit. So this one 100 divided by base voltage is 100. So this one will become 1 per unit. Now this resistance, so the base impedance is 10 ohms and the resistance is 1 plus J2. So 1 plus J2 divided by 10. So this will become 0.1 and this will become 0.2. So this will become 0.1 plus J 0.2. The transformer is eliminated. So that is the biggest advantage here. So this is also in per unit, not in ohms. What about this? Here the base is 1000. So if the base is 1000, so your 50 will become 0.05 and 30 will become 0.03. If I divide this 50 plus J30 by 1000. So I'll get 0.05 J 0.03. So therefore now it is very simple. I can find what is the current I. So what is the current I? Nothing but 1.0 per unit divided by the addition of these two. 0.15 plus J 0.23. So if I do this calculation, what do we get? Let me just quickly do this calculation and get back to you. So I per unit 1 divided by 0.15 plus 0.23 I. So I am getting 1.99 minus J 3.05. So this is the current in amperes. Now, if I convert into polar form, let me do that. So I get 3.68, sorry, 3.64 minus 56.89. So again, you notice this is in per unit. Now, to answer the question, what is the current in the load? Okay. So when you want to find the current in the load, this, remember, this was in region 2. So simply multiply with the 2. So load current IL equal to I1 per unit multiplied by I base in region 2. So 3.64 angle minus 56.89 multiplied by, what is the base in the for region 2? It is 1 ampere. Okay, so luckily since it is 1 ampere, so I just multiply with 1. So I get 3.64 minus 56.89 amperes. However, if I want to find source, then I1 per unit into I base of region 1. So that is 3.64 angle minus 56.89, and here the base current is 10 amperes. So therefore you will get 36.4 angle minus 56.89 amperes. So this answer also matching with our earlier solution. So what is the S? S1 is nothing but E1 into I1 star. So I can do it in per unit, per unit, per unit. So E1 per unit is 1, and then I1 per unit is 3.64, and because it is star, I put the plus 56.89. Now I also have the complex number for this, that is 1.99, 3.05. 05 per unit. Excuse me. So now actual S1 is nothing but multiply by base. So I'll get 1990 plus J 3050. So because if you multiply by actual base, you will get like this. So again, I noticed that the answers are matching. So we have taken one small problem with a transformer, and once we solved without using the per unit system, and the other we solved using the per unit system. Now for this, you might find solving without the per unit is more easy. But then imagine a case where there are a lot of transformers, then the per unit system will become very effective. So for example, I'll just give so another example. So let's say there is a generator. Then immediately after this generator, there is a transformer. Then there is a line. Then again there are two transformers. Again there is a transmission line here. This is received here. This is one transformer. Then this is going to another substation. There is another transformer. And finally there is a load here. And whereas here there's another generator. So system like this is a sample power network in which there are multiple transformers. It becomes very difficult to use the traditional methods of converting to the primary side, converting to the secondary side, that kind of process. Here in this example itself, there are 5 transformers. So this you can easily solve using per unit system. All transformers can be eliminated using the per unit system. In fact, I understand that today we just got introduced to this topic, so it might be a little bit difficult to understand right away this per unit system. We will solve several example problems on per unit system so that you will get more and more practice on it. But then, as I always said, whatever you do in this class, you go back and then try it yourself, work it out the example yourself and all. Now I will wait for some doubts if anybody having any doubts. So any doubts about this?